Welcome to the Krista Escamilla Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Krista Escamilla Show. We appreciate you spending some time with us, and Happy New Year. That's right. We are starting the new year off with a great guest today who I will introduce to you in just a moment. But first, I want to, of course, thank you for being here, and I hope that you had an amazing holiday, and we appreciate you choosing to spend some time with us here to kick the year off, 2026. It's so exciting. We also want to thank our sponsors for supporting our show so we can share the amazing stories of West Texans. And so a big thank you to Rig ID Workwear, Omni Midland Hotel, the Laughlin Hotel, the Preserve at Midland, Midland Cap Company, Thin FR, and JoinCapClub.com. Thank you to those amazing sponsors, and shop local wherever you're at. Remember, when you're shopping local, you're helping out families, your neighbors, your friends, and you are supporting their dreams. So we appreciate you doing that. Okay, now for that amazing guest I was telling you about. We're so grateful to have sitting with us today here in Midland, Texas, a father, husband, grandfather, CEO of Discovery Operation, an elder at Stonegate, and he is the senator for Texas Senate District 31, Senator Kevin Sparks. Kevin, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you. It's going to be a pleasure to hear your story because I've met you several times, know your family, love your family so much. I've interviewed your dad over the years several times, and I haven't really gotten a chance to hear your story. So thanks for doing that today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Let's start at the beginning. How did you get to West Texas?
Well, my dad was in the Navy. Actually, my dad graduated with an engineering degree from the University of Texas and moved out to Midland. Mom and Dad moved out to the West Texas area, recently McCamey and then Midland. And then Dad got called into the Navy and moved around for a couple of years. And I was actually born in Portsmouth, Virginia.
Okay.
And then when he got out of the Navy, they moved back to Midland to be in the oil and gas industry, and they've been here ever since.
And that's how most people get to West Texas, right? It's
how
something
most
to do with oil and gas.
That's exactly right. Brings a lot of folks out here.
I love that. And I did not know that about your father, so I appreciate his service. Next time I see him, I will definitely tell him thank you for his service. That's amazing. And your whole family has chosen to live here in West Texas. Where did you go to college? Why did you choose to come back? Tell us all the details.
Yeah, so I graduated from Lee High School in 1982. And went to the University of Texas, got a business degree, and moved straight back. So, I was one of those fortunate individuals that by junior high, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I'd spent, as a little kid, I used to go to the oil field with my dad, who was a petroleum engineer. And I just loved being out in the field. And I loved all of the excitement of the oil and gas industry. So by junior high, I knew that's kind of what I wanted to do.
What a blessing to already know that. Because You're right, a lot of people don't know.
A lot of people don't know. I don't know why. It just, it came to me early, and I go, gosh, that's really what I want to do. So I went to, my older brother had already graduated from UT with an engineering degree. Mm-hmm. I went and studied business and kind of centered my curriculum around business law and management and things that I knew would be helpful in discovery operating.
That's fantastic.
So I moved back. I graduated a semester early because I was ready to be out of college, and I moved back right as everything crashed in January of '86.
Okay. So you've seen a few booms and busts.
Yeah. So I started out seeing a bust.
Yes.
By April I got my first pay cut, and I got bumped to the field and spent the next 3.5 years roustabouting and pumping wells in Midland and Martin County.
Did that scare you right off the bat? When you start your career and it's right off the bat with a bust.
I didn't know enough to be scared, I think. So to me, it was just work. Right. And, it's really quite an adjustment when you come out of college to be getting up and going to work every single day.
It is. You're right.
And so that's really more what I was focused on, was just trying to take care of my job. I didn't really think that much about being scared. There were a lot, being in Midland during that time, though, was pretty depressing.
I bet.
Because at that time, all the major oil companies, and there were a bunch of them, had big offices out here. Mm-hmm. And they had all gotten overstaffed. And so literally every 3 months, some major company had a big round of layoffs. And that went on for 2.5 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
A long time, yeah.
And I'm sure you saw friends, neighbors have to move.
Yeah, and it just weighs on the community because everybody knows that things aren't improving and more people are going to get laid off. And when they do, their house sits on the market for months and months and months and months. And so, yeah, it was an interesting time. Again, we were just at Discovery Operating. We were doing everything we could to keep the doors open, which meant that, my older brother and my dad and my uncle at the time all took turns rotating on weekends to help the pumping responsibilities.
Wow. So it was all hands on deck.
All hands on
Everybody,
deck.
You're going into the field.
Yeah. When you all work together, you have to do whatever it takes, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it is such a family business. That's what I love about your family is just how you all are, have been together for so long and have those common goals, except for one common goal, which is probably on football day. It just occurred to me when you said UT, I thought, wait a minute, I know there's a bunch of Aggies in your family too. That can make it a little tricky.
Well, it does. It makes things interesting. As Todd's an Aggie and his wife's an Aggie, and
all their kids
are Aggies, and so. Anyway, yeah, it's good.
Yes. Well, I had to shout out our good friends, Todd and Karen, their sweet family. But yes, they're the Aggies of the family. So from there, you continued on. You didn't let it stop you. You had a bust, 86, you keep on going.
Yep.
What did you learn during that time that has really helped you sustain? Because you have been in business,
over 50 years.
Over 50 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, some of the things you learn. So interesting. The whole time I'm at UT in the business school, it was really common to leverage your assets. Interest rates were 15, 16, 18%. And so there was a lot of, in all my business classes, they were talking about being leveraged. And that was a good thing. That was a healthy thing to create more, more revenue. Well, what they didn't tell us was the downside of being leveraged, which is, the bank comes and takes all your assets if you're over leveraged. And so fortunately for Discovery Operating, Dad at that point had made the decision that, we were going to function out of cash flow and not have bank debt. And so when things got really tough, we weren't susceptible to the bank calling a note.
Yeah, smart.
And so that was one of the long-term takeaways was, live within your means, both at home and within your workplace. And, it allows you to really have more control over your destiny.
Absolutely. I love what you just said there because I think that is so important because sometimes you can get eager, right? When things are going well and you've been around long enough here to know that there's ups and downs.
There are ups and downs. Yep.
Yes. Tell us how you met your beautiful wife. Where did Jill come into your life?
Yeah. So I've been back in Midland, probably 6 years at that time, and there were not a lot of younger people because of the bust. Those were the first folks to get laid off, and so they'd all left town. And so my mom actually had run into the mother of a high school friend of mine at a shower, and she'd asked about me, and Mom said, well, he's struggling finding folks around here to date. So he's leaving town every weekend. And this lady worked at Alamo Junior High, and she said, well, we've got some young teachers, that have just moved in. And, I'd be happy to make an introduction. So Patty DeFrance got me a phone number, and I called Jill, and we met a couple of days later for lunch, and 6 months later we were married.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
Thank you, Patty, right?
Yes. So I tell, Jill tells the story growing up in Monahans that her whole life dream was to graduate from college and move to the big city. So
Hey,
she's been living the dream.
she's living the dream. She got out of Monahan.
Midland.
Made it to Midland. I love that. So did my husband. That's right. They're the fellow Lobos there that
Yep.
grew up together. I love that. And really, that's not, I mean, that's a true story because he used to say, oh, we would go to the big city. I mean, we were going to Midland or Odessa.
Yep.
You know,
Moved to the city in '87.
yeah, moved to the city in 87. There you
Yep.
go. See, I mean, it sounds funny, but this is the big city.
It's all in your perspective.
That's right. That's right. And I know you love this city so much so you serve not only our city, but many cities across your district. And we're going to talk about that and how you got into in just a minute. But first, we do something, Kevin, called Quote of the Day.
Okay.
And so I just want to say thank you again. We're listening to Kevin Sparks' story here. He is the senator for District 31, and he is going to reach into the magic bowl, read out whatever he pulls out, and then you tell us what that quote means to you. Then you get to share your favorite.
Okay.
What card did you get here?
Leader.
Leader, of course, since you're leader. Perfect card. What does the quote say?
It says, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. That's from Jack Welch.
Ooh, good quote.
Well said.
Yes.
That's
What does that
excellent.
mean to you?
Well, it's hard to truly be a leader if you don't really understand the task. And so one of the things that even though it's not a path that I would have chosen, I told you I spent my first 3.5 years as a pumper in a roustabout every day in the field. With someone with a college degree, I kind of felt like, gosh, I'm not using what I've spent the last 4 years studying.
Right.
But realistically, God was preparing me because it gave me the hands-on information, helped me understand exactly what took place in the field. And it allowed me ultimately to take the position that I had with Discovery Operating, which was, president and then CEO.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What quote do you live by? Or it could be a quote, Bible verse.
Yeah, I would say, a quote that I live by. I kind of where I am moving into 2026 is Matthew 5:16, which says, "Let your light shine among others, so that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." And so, I think that's kind of my charge for 2026.
I love that. That is a great one. And you're doing that through several avenues. One is an elder through Stonegate, another, of course, as CEO, but you also lead a very big district. Let's talk about what made you decide to run, and how many years has it been now? Is it?
Well, so three, so I'll be starting fourth, and I'm actually on the ballot in 2026.
Okay. So what made you decide to run in the first place? Because this was not something that, like you said early on in life, was on your radar.
No, I had never aspired to serve in office. Jill and I both had been a part of, organizations that crafted policy from a scholastic standpoint, but I'd never really aspired to serve in office. But I got a call from a friend here in town asking if I would consider running, and I pretty much dismissed it. Months later, the lieutenant governor's in town, which he comes to Midland, fairly regularly, 3 or 4 times a year, and so wasn't unusual for him to come. But I got a call from his staff saying, "Hey, Lieutenant Governor's going to be in Midland on Thursday for lunch and would like to visit with you after lunch." I thought, okay.
Interesting.
So we're meeting at the Petroleum Club, and I see him downstairs when I first get there, and we walk up the stairs together, go through the buffet, and he goes, "Well, what do you think?" I thought, "What do I think about what?" He goes, "You don't know?" I said, "No." He said, "There's people out here that think you need to run for state senate."
Wow.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I said, wow.
First of all, what an honor, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, really, what an honor.
Well, I think actually when you look into it, this is a part-time legislative position, so it pays $600 a month.
Wow.
I look back now and think, these guys put me up to this because none of them wanted this position, right?
They roped you into it.
Yeah, it's like, next time you need to think a little harder. So anyway, I called Jill. We talked about it. Actually, we prayed about it a couple of days, and honestly, we just couldn't come up with a good enough reason not to say yes. Yeah. Our kids were out of the house. We've got, at that time, 4 kids, hoping for grandkids. And it's like, if you don't volunteer to be part of the solution, then you should have no expectations of, things going well.
That's so true. Yeah.
So we, these guys that had kind of propped me up for this and said, hey, if you'll run, we'll help you raise support and we'll work to try and get you elected. And when I got in, my previous predecessor had not decided yet whether or not he was going to run again. And so we went into it thinking we were going to be a challenger to the incumbent. He ultimately elected not to run again. He'd been serving for 18 years, and so
yeah, it was time.
Yeah.
And so that was it. You were voted in.
So we actually had three challengers in our primary, but then we didn't have an opponent in the general.
Oh, fantastic.
So,
well, that's great. And just the opposite coming up this time, correct?
Coming up this cycle, I don't have a challenger in the March primary, but I do have an opponent in the general for November.
Okay. Well, fantastic. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
I know that you have a lot to talk about as far as some things that you're proud of and what you're hoping for in 2026. And so I would love to ask you, and for those of you who have listened to the show, we don't really talk politics. And I said to him, we don't talk politics. He said, good, because I'm really not a politician.
That's right.
I love when you said that.
Yeah, I don't really consider myself a politician. I like to think of myself as a statesman because it's not really about politics. It ought to be about the governance of our state.
Yeah. Well, thank you for serving, and thank you for
Sure.
choosing to do that. Let's talk about what you're proud of that has been accomplished this past year, and then what you're looking forward to in 2026.
Sure. So, I've served now in 2 sessions because the Texas legislature meets every other year, and so in my first session, one of the big things I was able to accomplish was a bill to mandate a third-party assessment of all the rules and regulations for foster care, which
wonderful.
At that time was almost 500 pages and growing. And so my office there in Austin oversaw that to make sure that hopefully the state was going to get something of value out of that third-party assessment. And we did, working with Health and Human Services, which I sit on that committee. We took that audit, and we have literally either wiped out or greatly improved a few thousand regulations in the foster care system.
That's amazing.
Which hopefully helps us get more families that are willing to, make the sacrifice, receive the blessing of being foster parents.
It's amazing there were that many regulations that needed to be made. When you said thousands, I was like, what?
It is, it's the way government functions. And it just doesn't function very well. And so, on a regular basis, we should be going in and looking at all of our stuff. We do that within our businesses. Right? We're forced to look at, okay, are we still using best practices? Are there things that we've been doing now a long time that no longer make sense? What has technology done to improve what we do? How can we trim our expenses?
Right.
All of those things, and government just struggles in doing that.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Well, that's good. That is definitely one thing that has definitely made a positive impact.
Yeah.
Any others that really you
highlighted? This last session had a really good session for rural Texas, and that's one of the challenges that we have when you think about, mentioned that my district covers 45 sections. Charles Perry, who is the senator up in Lubbock, has, I believe, 37. And so between the two of us, we cover most of West Texas. Well, that's just two senators, right? And there's 31 of us. So the majority, you've got one rural senator in East Texas, and so you've got just a handful of folks that represent rural Texas, and the majority of our representatives, both in the House and the Senate, are from metropolitan areas. And that's a challenge because a lot of times they don't really understand the challenges of rural communities.
Right. What is the biggest challenge facing rural communities?
One of the biggest challenges is healthcare. We have a hard time getting good healthcare practitioners, whatever, to move and live in rural Texas.
Yeah. So what can we do to change that or help facilitate it? Besides today telling everyone how wonderful West Texas is, please come live here.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Growing up in Midland, again, back in the day, when all the big oil companies had big offices out here, they just rotated people through about every 3 or 4 years. And it was always the big joke that, when the wives heard that they were moving to Midland, they all cried. And then 3 or 4 years later, when they got transferred out, they cried again because the people are so great. Yes. So the biggest challenge is getting folks to just come out here and experience what community looks like in West Texas.
I agree.
Once they get here, a lot of times we can keep them. Yeah. Just a matter of getting them out. We have the same problem with the oil companies.
Very true. But we have seen so many strides made in the past 20 years that I've seen that make look at the average age or the median age of who lives here now.
Yes.
We are getting the young people back, which is exciting because of quality of place, initiatives.
That's right.
So I think that's exciting.
It is. And it's something that we're mindful across the district. So the oil and gas industry has had challenges. Our agriculture industry has had challenges, both in the north and the south part of the district. We're losing, and this is not just in Texas, but across the whole United States, we're losing family farms at an alarming rate. And, one thing I know, we can't live without food.
That's right.
And so we've got to make sure that we're giving our agriculture industry the opportunity to show their kids that they can have a successful career in that industry.
Absolutely, 100%. We can't see the family farm go away.
We can't.
Where is it? Are they selling to big corporations? Are they selling for oil and gas? Where are they selling off to?
They're depends on where it is, but they are selling to big corporations. You're seeing a lot of your cities creep out into your agriculture areas. And a developer comes in and offers you 20 times what you made the last 3 years. It's pretty hard to look at that and not be willing to at least entertain selling that land. The problem is, we just, again, we learned a lot of things during COVID, a lot of things that we're not doing here in the United States that really we've got to do here in the United States. One of those things that we can't afford to farm out to other nations is our food supply.
Yes, for sure. I agree 100%. What are you doing to change that?
Well, I would say this. I'm not likely going to come up with the solutions for changing those economics. The folks that have the best chance of doing that are the folks that are in those industries sharing that information with their legislators. Yes. If you got a question, an issue with oil and gas, I've got a pretty decent chance of maybe coming up with a solution or knowing people that I can call to help with solutions. Just like this last session, we passed 3 different bills attacking the oil field theft problems that we've seen that are just rampant out here since the 4 years of open border policies. So, I felt fairly qualified to help with those legislative items. Agriculture, not as much. And so, we've got a new guy. I know this is not political, but, we've got a new guy that is running for agriculture commissioner against an incumbent. That Nate Sheets has some really innovative ideas. And just like we've seen in the oil and gas industry, where innovation has revitalized our industry over and over and over again, I believe similar things will take place in our ag industry if we give them those tools to do it.
Awesome. Let's talk about, you mentioned if someone calls you or emails you or texts you, I'm sure you get a lot of constituents that reach out to you.
We do.
What is the best way to do that? How would you encourage people if they have a question or something to reach you?
Yeah, so I have a district office here in Midland. I've got a district office in Amarillo, and I've got a part-time district director in Big Spring. They can contact any of those folks. They can call my office there in Austin. It's easy to find on the website. And that's the best way, is to reach out personally. We get a ton of robo emails anymore, and sifting through those is somewhat challenging. But we want to hear from folks who are interested enough to call about a particular issue.
And what kind of issues would you say that, because if someone has a problem with a pothole, they're not going to call you, right? That is not a phone call for you. So what kind of issues are most people reaching out to?
Well, I got a couple of weeks ago about water issues here in Midland County. Water is a really big issue, not just in West Texas, but really for all of Texas.
Right.
And last legislative session, Senator Perry kind of led the charge on some very significant long-term water infrastructure bills for the state of Texas. I've got people calling me right now about the state is looking at putting in high voltage overhead lines coming out to West Texas, specifically 3 different pathways. And so I've got landowners calling and saying, hey, the government is trying to put this across our family farm that's been in our family for 5 generations. Can you help us with this?
So any question that they may feel like that you can then take and make a change in the
Sure,
legislature?
or at least, look into, okay, what are the possibilities of, how can we help address this need?
Right. Okay. Then go to the website, do that if you have any needs. What are you most excited about for 2026? When you're looking ahead now on when you go into the next session, What do you hope that you can achieve and get for your constituents?
Yeah, so most excited thing I am, I've got another grandchild coming in April.
Hey, that's exciting.
And then
you're at what, 5 now, did you say?
I have 5 now with one more due in April. So
oh man, that's beautiful.
Really exciting. And that's, I get more excited about hanging out with them than I do going back to Austin. But as far as important issues, the grid is a critical issue. The Texas grid at ERCOT system, we have not improved our reliability on the grid really in more than 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm sure technology has changed in 15 years.
It has, but our market hasn't, and therefore we're struggling with encouraging thermal dispatchable baseload power to come build here in Texas.
Okay.
So what we have been fighting really for almost 25 years, the federal government subsidizing wind and solar, which are intermittent powers, right? The wind doesn't always blow, the sun doesn't always shine. In fact, sun goes down every night.
Right.
Still.
And always will.
And so, we're building batteries that can help take that load for 2 to 3 hours in the evening as that power begins to wane. But none of those are anywhere close to the type of dispatchable power that Texas needs and should have.
Okay. So power is definitely on the list.
So power is a big thing because we're like I said, we're probably 15 years late in trying to address this. And so the longer we go, and we've got 1,600 people on average moving to Texas every day.
Wow. And
so when you look at the energy requirements for Texas from just that, not to mention all of the industry that's coming, the data centers and everything else, we're going to need a lot of power. The great news is Texas, because of the Permian Basin, has a lot of energy to give. We just need some structural changes in the market to be able to turn that energy into electricity.
Okay, that's exciting. We'll be
Yeah.
looking for that for sure.
Yeah.
So power, you mentioned water. Anything else that's kind of on your heart that you hope gets seen this year?
Yeah, we've seen, and this is kind of controversial, but we've seen a real push for what I would call Islamism, which is, it's not just Muslims, it's this radical form of Islam that is not interested in assimilating into Texas. And so I think we really need to put some thought into how we go back to, and I've talked to some older folks who remember back when the United States almost required you to assimilate. And everything that we did when people came to the United States encouraged them, almost forced them to assimilate into neighborhoods, into the culture, learn the history. We've got to get back to teaching civics in our schools, right? Not just social studies, civics. What is it? What is our responsibility to our communities? Because when we have really healthy communities, people don't feel the need to go to the state and say, hey, we need you guys to fix this problem.
Right.
Texas is a great big state. West Texas feels completely different than East Texas, than South Texas, than North Texas. Rural feels different than metropolitan communities. They're not very well managed from the state level. Okay. They're really much, much better managed at the community level because you can identify those needs and address them. But you have to have healthy communities in order to make that work. So.
Gotcha. All right. Speaking of healthy communities, I have to ask this because you do represent so many communities. Does anyone ever, when you're out and about and you say you're District 31, ask you about Landman?
All the time.
I had a feeling.
Actually, all the time, especially when they find out that, my main business has been oil and gas. And I'm ashamed to say I've not actually seen an episode yet.
Really?
I don't really have much time for TV. And Jill and I have told each other over the holidays, we got to at least watch 1 or 2 episodes.
1 or 2, yes, for sure.
Yeah, our kids who have seen some of it say we may not be old enough to watch it, but we hear about Landman. Obviously it's dramatization.
Yes.
Maybe an over dramatization of things that happen out here, but it's fun to see West Texas dramatized.
Portrayed, yes.
Portrayed.
In Hollywood's eyes, yes. I agree.
Yeah.
I just thought, I wonder what you say when people ask you that. They say, hey, you're one of those Landman guys.
Yeah. And I tell them, you know what? I can't remember the last time I saw a private plane land on one of our lease roads.
True.
But
it might happen.
I'm not saying it can't happen. All right, what do we have now?
Up next, this is Question of the Day, Kevin. We're sitting here today in Midland, Texas with Senator Kevin Sparks, having a great conversation, learning more about him personally, professionally, and now we get to have him reach into the magic bowl and ask a question of the day.
Ask a question of the day.
Yep, we have no idea what it'll be. Which card did you get? The
Grow.
Grow card. Awesome. And what's your
Yes.
question?
What's a small moment in your career or life that ended up changing everything? Wow.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, we talked about one of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since I really running for any kind of office was not on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, there's just so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I look back and I think about this first question of, being a leader, I look back, and Jill and I have talked about this a number of times in the last few years. I can see it now. So I'm 61. And I look back, and God's hand has been in so many things, mostly small things, that have prepared me for this spot that I never thought I would be in. And then they were small steps helping me either learn something or develop something in me that has given me, has helped prepare me for being in the state Senate.
I love that. What advice would you give to someone? Because you said, you this wasn't on your radar, and I think a lot of people that are called to serve, whether they're serving state, local, in their church, in their school, however they're serving, have hesitation at first. I feel like that is a normal reaction when a lieutenant governor says, "Hey, you want to run?" What advice would you give to someone that is faced with one of those questions of whether they should take that next step and try a role in leadership when they want to say no at first?
Yeah, I would encourage people. I mean, it's, again, it takes leadership in order to create good community, whatever that is. And and a lot of times it may just be small things, but be willing to say yes, right? Don't say yes too many times, all at once, but be willing to say yes. I served I served as in several positions, including the big chief and Indian guides and Indian princesses.
Oh, that's
right?
awesome.
Way back when.
Yes.
I would tell folks that if you get the opportunity, or try and find the opportunity to help coach kids' sports or kids' activities, because, I mean, not only, one, do you get to bless kids if you do it well, but you get to learn how to work with parents, not always in great situations, right? You're working with the officials. It helps you organize. It's just a great training ground. And look at how many people you get to bless when you step up and agree to coach a little girls softball team.
Yes, absolutely. And how much fun. I bet the giggles, the laughter, you will grow by doing that.
If you maintain the right attitude,
Yes.
which is challenging for those of us who are really competitive, but if you maintain the right attitude, I mean, the benefits of that are endless.
What's the best piece of advice that you've been given? It could be from, I'm sure you've had so many mentors through your life, your own father being one. Is there any, piece of advice that you think really has just always stuck with you when you're faced with a decision?
Well, I mean, I always go back to, if you're spending time in God's Word, right? I believe that the Holy Spirit is going to help you make those decisions. In addition to that, I would say, from a secular side, is never take yourself too seriously.
It's a good one.
If you're constantly worried about what everybody's thinking about you, well, you're not likely to make the right decisions.
Right. And isn't there some saying that people are thinking much less of you than what you think they're thinking of you? So don't be worried what other people are thinking of you.
That is well said.
I love that. So we do something called Favorite Things. And so Favorite Things is just a fun thing I throw. It could be favorite restaurant, favorite coffee shop, and you answer the first thing that comes into your mind, Kevin. Ready? Let's start with favorite coffee shop.
Favorite coffee shop? I'd probably say 12 Gate.
Okay, that's a good one.
Uh-huh.
That's great. Favorite restaurant?
La Bodega.
It's so good, right? Those chips, that sounds good right now.
Yes, chips salsa.
Chips and salsa. Favorite fun fact about you that we would not know by reading your bio?
We covered this earlier. I was actually born in Virginia.
Okay, good fun fact. Awesome. What's your favorite hobby?
Quail hunting.
Okay, very good. Favorite song? You're walking into a room, you've got your hype song playing in your head, the song that kind of pumps you up for the day. If you have to give a speech.
Oh, maybe something from Boston or the Eagles.
Oh, nice. Gotta love the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so many good songs there. Okay, favorite life hack? Something that makes your life a little easier.
Favorite life
Hack. Like,
Jill.
yeah, Jill's probably your best life
Yeah,
hack.
no, absolutely. Yeah, we didn't talk about this earlier, but Jill has been fantastic in this new role as I don't know what she's considered, the first lady of State Senate District 31.
That sounds like a good title.
Whatever
for
that
it.
is. She's such an encourager. And so she travels with me when I'm traveling across the district, most of the time when I go to Austin. So, yeah, I would say Jill.
I love that. And I think everyone needs an encourager in their life. And she is not only beautiful, a great mom and great grandmother now, but
Yeah.
she also gets to help and support you in this role. I think that's amazing.
Just think about how much brighter our lives would be if we were all a little better at encouraging the folks around us every day.
I agree.
Man, gosh.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Life would improve a lot for all of us if we were all better at being encouragers.
Absolutely. What do you love most about your, I want to ask you your three roles.
Okay.
What do you love most about being CEO, being an elder, and being the district senator?
Okay. Being an elder, that's another one of those thankless jobs. It's a really difficult job. At our church, the elders are charged with the spiritual oversight and shepherding of the people that go to Stonegate Fellowship. But having the opportunity to sit collectively with the other elders in the church, some magnificent godly men, very wise, that part has encouraged me, and I've learned a lot from that.
I bet. Yes.
And what was the second one?
Next one, CEO. What have you learned? What's your favorite thing about being a CEO
What's the
of
favorite
Discovery
thing about,
Operation?
Yeah, being CEO of Discovery Operating. I would say working with all of our staff. We're just very blessed. One, we're blessed out here in West Texas because we just overall still have that West Texas spirit, right? People are willing to work hard.
Yes.
They don't give up. They don't, they enjoy being challenged. And we take pride in getting stuff done.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to interact with my staff that, for the most part, has those qualities.
Love that. And so many family members, too.
A lot of family members,
I love
right?
that.
Yeah, the bar of expectation is set pretty high.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Favorite thing about being the senator?
Favorite thing about being state senator? I would say having the opportunity to interact with people at the Capitol.
Oh, I bet. Meet people from all walks of life.
So the Capitol's a really interesting place. After being there a while, I can kind of see why it functions the way it functions. You've got a handful of legislators, 150 House members, 31 senators, and then a slew of staff.
Right.
Not just for the offices, but all the different committees. And most of those people don't necessarily see the world that all of we as constituents see the world. they see that job as, hey, the more bills we pass, that's our job, is to pass bills and fix things. And I look at it and go, actually, what we need to be doing is encouraging people to, again, take responsibility and fix their own stuff as much as they can first, right? If they can't get it fixed, come with possible solutions.
Yes.
And so, but working with the folks there in the Capitol has been, it's been a really interesting process.
I bet. What's the most surprising part that you've learned through it?
There is not near the collaboration amongst like-minded legislators as I would have thought.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And, I've got some theories about why that is. Part of it's just because everybody is so busy. I'm not sure that everybody values relationships around there. And so they don't spend a lot of time working on relationships. People funnel through the offices fairly frequently. That's probably the thing that surprised me the most.
Yeah, that would be surprising because you would think they're all working together and talking, but you're right. In this busy, fast-paced world, and they've got their own agenda and their own this and that and their own constituents.
And they got constituents calling all the time, and we had almost 9,000 bills filed this last session, which is just
That's a lot.
Yeah, my first session, I thought, you know what, I ought to file a bill that limits the number of bills that people can file.
That's a great idea.
And actually, we drafted it up, and I was told, as a freshman, you may not want to file that bill. So I've still got it, and I'm still tempted to file it.
I like it. I think it's a good idea. Yeah. Something down the pipeline.
Maybe down the road.
Yes.
Right?
What is your favorite thing about your new title, being Grandpa?
Oh my goodness, it's the best title.
I bet.
So my oldest will turn 3 next month. And so all the way down to youngest is about 4 months.
Oh.
And so it's just, you hear it is a great stage in life, and it is a great stage in life. And I'm looking forward as they grow to do grandpa things with them.
I love that. That's amazing. Well, I bet you're a great grandpa. You have served our community so well in these 3 years. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
In the future. And we thank you for sharing your time today. Is there anything coming into today's podcast that we didn't get to share that you were like, oh, I hope we get to talk about this? Or, oh, I know you had no expectations. He's like, I'm just here.
Yeah, I didn't really have any expectations. I'm sure, later on this afternoon, I'll think of something we should have talked about. But no, I just, I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Well, thank
right?
you.
Because it's important that we share. You look at prior cultures before we got so extremely busy with stuff. And, families had spent a lot more time together. They shared a lot of stuff. Communities came together and shared. You knew most of your neighbors. And so, this is kind of a new form of sharing and being able to, kind of speak back into your community. So thank you for doing this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I love it because we get to share stories like yours and get to know you better. Now I will know fun facts about you, or I can throw up a hook 'em sign and you're excited,
That's right.
So I love that because it really does. It gives us that connection of more than just seeing each other at a function, right? Where it's, hey, how's it going? Now I know your favorite title is Grandpa.
You may come up with something and you go, you know what? I think I'll call my state senator on this.
That's right. Exactly. I love that. Well, I've really enjoyed getting to know you better today, Kevin. Thank you for sharing. We have about 1 minute left. So in that final minute, I would love to hear what you hope your legacy will be that you leave behind for your family and your community.
Wow. I hope at some point people will look back and say that Kevin Sparks was, caring, enough to put others first.
I love that. Well, thank you. I think that's definitely evident in what you're doing. So thank you so much for sharing your time today, for what you're doing. I hope that 2026 brings you all that you hope it will be as a grandpa, as a CEO, as an elder, as a state senator, all of those things. And we appreciate you serving our community so well. So thank you. If you have any questions, of course, reach out. He's at a website. You can call, you can email. He prefers the call.
Yes.
And so please do that because they're there to listen. They want to make sure that your voice is being heard for West Texas and beyond, up to the Panhandle. Thank you so much for your time today, Senator Sparks. Appreciate you.
Thank you. It's been fun.
We appreciate you listening. We know you have a choice, and so we appreciate you spending the time, and of course, our great sponsors. So don't forget, in closing, our mottos: dream big, believe, and never give up. You make it a great day, and let's make 2026 the best year yet together.
I'm for that.
Yes, sir. You make it a good one.